people as if economic misery and the threat of nuclear war wasn't enough. Massive health scares. The UK Health Security Agency was warned of a possible difficult winter of flu and COVID circulating widely and indeed wildly. The so-called Twindemic could be compounded by lower levels of natural immunity to flu caused by the COVID lockdowns. Just read that again. Caused by the COVID lockdowns. Health officials are encouraging the clinically vulnerable and elderly to receive both COVID and flu jabs in light of this risk. Well, here to cut through yet more noise is Health and Social Affairs Editor at the Sunday Express and indeed friend of the channel. It's Lucy Johnston. Lucy, how are you?
Hello, very well, thank you.
Are we all going to die?
Well, we've had many warnings like that, haven't we, before? And we actually don't know what's going to happen this winter. We can't tell. We were warned last year that there would be a deadly flu outbreak. There is a clue, the southern hemisphere we tend to follow, and they have had serious numbers of flu. But it's not just the waning immunity due to lack of exposure. We also don't know what the virus did in those lockdowns, and viruses evolve and they select, and they may have selected to become more transmissible.
OK.
Most people are not going to be severely affected by influenza. Most people will just have a rough few days and get over it.
Like a normal illness?
Like a normal illness.
Right.
So they don't need to worry.
OK.
People who are got problems with their immune systems, the people who are elderly, and some people who are clinically vulnerable and who are younger, they are more at risk. But we don't even know every year what the flu vaccine, how useful it will be in trying to minimise...
You see, they don't really tell you that, do they? They don't really seem to say how useful or otherwise the flu vaccine is going to be. That's just become part of our society now, where every single year there's like a queue of elderly people outside a GP. I mean, if you see the GPs these days, there's a queue of elderly people outside them anyway. But they just queue up and get the flu vaccine. But how effective will it be to get kind of double jabbed? You buy one, get one free of flu and COVID shot in each arm at the same time.
Well, I think, you notice Denmark's actually banned COVID vaccines for under 50s. So I think for COVID, for certain groups, no vaccine is all bad or all good. But for people who are under 50, most people have had COVID now. Most people have good natural immunity, and they've had the vaccine as well. So I don't know how much that's helping people, and the harms and risks with the COVID vaccine are slightly different. The flu vaccine isn't associated with severe harm. You can feel rough, but we don't know until we get it. And it's a race against the evolution of the virus. We don't know what circulating strain we've got, and we can never ever completely match it. I think some years, we really don't get it right, and we get a lot of deaths.
Well, this is it. So I think you've kind of taken the next question out of my mouth there, really, which is, OK, I'm very, very jaded, as I think a lot of our viewers and our listeners and people in the country are, by the level of fear-mongering. I mean, this news agenda today alone is the perfect microcosm of that. We've got economic disaster. If your house doesn't blow up in a nuclear holocaust, you might not be able to buy it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Are we going to have a Twindemic? There's something else about gas exploding in the sea that we're doing later for you lucky people. But seriously, do we get fed fear from medical experts too often, in your opinion? Are we, under all likelihood, just going to have a normal winter when it comes to flu and now COVID?
I don't know. Okay. And we also have food poverty and fuel poverty, which
yes, I missed those off the list, to be fair.
Well, they will actually increase the risk of vulnerable people getting ill. But we don't know what's going to happen, and you do always get the professional worriers out, don't you? And they've been doing it throughout the pandemic, and hyping up the threats of things which actually is not relevant to every single person. So, the headlines, I'm a journalist as well, and, it makes a good headline, and it's, frightening, and it sells more newspapers. But actually, flu will come and it will go. It will pass. We have more problems than that, although obviously it is severe for people who are vulnerable to it.
This too shall pass. Thank you very, very much, Lucy. Great to have you on the channel.